All right, here we go again. I'm definitely having audio issues in that apartment. I got no idea. Part of it. It's there's no carpet. It got pretty bad acoustics, and if I didn't have the de-esser on, it would have horrible S sounds. It's one thing I have on there is a de-esser. Thank you. Somebody's showing some woman. Spirits show me some woman could be God by saying, "Okay, that's that same girl." 35 years later, 40 years later. And you're still attracted to that type of woman. So, right. No, I actually find this woman more attractive than her because she's too young. So before you twist what I say, right? This woman's in her 40s at least, if not 50, late 40s to 55 probably. We're trying to dispel something that they're doing. Okay. Yeah, a lot of gym members here on Juneteenth. Thank you, man. Yeah, they totally put me out. It's just like you don't see people that you would normally see before they do it, and then your life would just naturally pick up. Right. Well, they have no right to do it. They're just a bunch of devils, man. So, like I said, that's what a lot of those cases seem to be. Apparently, the one guy they were complaining about, a high school student, had a removal order for a couple years there. You got to have compassion to get compassion, generally. Senator Marshall offering evacuation help from Israel. Yeah, it said going to Santa Fe was wrong. It was too easy for them because I was a different race. Right. If I'd have went to a white community, it would have been a lot harder for them to do it. But I actually went to the South. One of the reasons I went to the Southwest was to try to help a Latino woman if I could marry one. Right. One of the reasons. And then help the others also, which I did. Fed people, gave them money, gave them conversation when other people wouldn't give them the time of day. Right. Treated them with respect. Hmm. I explained to you something happened while we were chatting. Like I didn't like most of my cam stuff. I was dating was one woman there, and that was about it. But right, till they got busy and messed it up. Right, now they psyop me on there, and I kind of got screwed around. But thank you, George. This one when she just fell apart, and I can't remember how it all. Because again, it was crazy because they were. I knew they were operating me. Right, and again, they could have drugged me because I was starting to. Things were starting to get weird, and but she was crying. I was like, felt so bad, and there's a lot of reasons. She could have HIV or whatever. That's a big one in Latino communities in the Southwest. I mean, I'll tell you what, this guy ended up dying from I think a heroin overdose, but I mean he was depressed and he had HIV, and I guess he didn't treat it right, and it was had advanced. And again, now I'm sure he'd have been okay, but He had a beautiful girlfriend, but my friend told me she's in her 70s. She's their neighbor, and heard them all freaking out the day they figured out that he had transmitted HIV and all that. Right. But she was just like, oh my God, I know it's no different than anyone else, but just boggles the mind. Right. That's why you try to live as close to the biblical model as you can. Right. But again, a lot of churches don't explain the biblical. They don't even know the biblical model. It begins with equally yoked. So, because a lot of times they'll go, well, my parents got married, and then, well, they weren't equally yoked. That's the first part, right? I definitely wasn't equally yoked, but I felt sorry for my wife. And really did her well. It's just after all those years of abuse, I just couldn't get anywhere with it, right? Thank you very much. Mhm. They planned the whole thing. That they're just sad it didn't go worse than it did in my life. They know what they do. They're sicko devils. So they pick certain immigrants to be part of the sicko devil squad, right? Well, I told you before, years ago, many times over, that if it takes a million years, it's gonna get you. All right. Well, again, okay. One of the things that came up is rules on unannounced inspections, right, by congressmen and congresswomen. Um, yes and no. I mean, a rule is a rule. It's not a law, right? So if you enacted congressional rules, it doesn't mean that it fits the law, right? Mm. I'd have to look at that to figure out where it exists. Well, there might be something in where they do get the unannounced inspections. I don't know. But again, if it isn't written into a law, if it's like a congressional rule on a process without like an agreement or a memorandum of understanding with the entity, then it's nothing. Now, what I was doing is, I guess it's over. Yeah, I was trying to see if they were gonna like try to bait me with somebody that fits the description of the investigation. Right. The only way you can do that is to be out of the just be a little bit out of the norm. But they're trying to shift it. I did notice that. I don't know if that's Satan's stance or it's actually a psyop. Right. I know metaphysically it's definitely them, but I don't know about physically. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, it gets a little weird in my apartment once it gets up above 70 degrees. So I had to like turn the AC down because I was broadcasting, and it's like, oh, I got to get out of here. I did turn the AC up for a bit before I left because I was trying to do the that Blue Cross Blue Shield check thing where you can call them, but they're closed today. So, right. So I couldn't get anywhere with that. Hmm. Yeah, it's already hot. It's going to be a hot summer, it looks like. Whew. Like when they curse you a certain way, something could be right in front of you and you wouldn't see it. That's real. That's how big of devils they are. Right. So Iran's picking up the curses on our nation and anybody that, like, I healed Israel and that kind of thing. So, right. Hmm. Again, all I said is peace. So, again, that may be actually the prayer that Iran needs. Right. A lot of people just run off at the head thinking about things. Right. Well, if the economy, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Shrinks, I guess. If the economy shrinks, then you won't miss the immigrant labor as much. Right. Well, there's no telling what's going to happen. And then there might not be inflation. Right. So, well, but the markets won't do as well, theoretically. Yeah, thanks. I was thinking of buying an older Surface Pro, but I don't know because I could bring that with me, and then I'd have a big screen. I could hook to the Wi-Fi in here. Right. My Surface Pro's got a screwed up touchscreen. And then Assurion will insure it, or one of the other ones, Square Trade or whatever, wherever I decide to buy it. It's just their prices are still up because the new Surface Pros aren't using the Intel processors, so they're only so good. The old ones will run run all the apps. Like my Surface Pro 8 still runs like a champ. I mean, I'm not out there with some mega game, but it's an i7 Surface Pro 8 11th generation processor, only 16 gigabytes of RAM. I wanted to get I should have went with 32 gigabytes and a terabyte, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The screen got messed up, so it's useless for anything other than a desktop. Well, the point is, if I fix the screen, it doesn't fix my problem with no warranty. Right? So if I spend the money that I'm going to spend on the screen plus a few $100s more, I'll have a new warranty, a 4-year warranty. Now, that might be a pipe dream. I don't know if they'll keep it going for 4 years, right? They might just give me the money after, 6 months or something if it breaks, right? Well, essentially, if the touchscreen goes out on it, it's a $500 repair. Now, it doesn't cost them $500, so maybe they'll fix it cheaper. I don't know, but essentially, give me the purchase price, right? Right. If I tell you to fix something, I'm not telling you that what I'm looking at is 100% real. Right. Just figure it out. And most of those cases where the information was missing. Right. Now I just got my SM34. I guess I think it's SM34 or 35 mic, Shure mic, and my iRig Pre into the web app. Probably sounds better than it did on that little lavalier. The lavaliers aren't sounding as well. Not sure what's going on there. So I got my lease renewal. I can bless their pricing, but I can't stay. I have to move on. So got to figure out where I'm going. They gave me some ungodly increase in Oklahoma, which made no sense in staying. All right. Now, if they had offered me another apartment that what they were refurbing for that price, I'd said okay. No, they were already trying to kill me in the Martinsville Roads when I first got there. I didn't know what was going on. I just thought people were, a-holes. Right. Somebody was paying. They got too much money. None of their money checks out. But again, it's just a gaming government. It's not real. Right. When a person's money checks out, they say the money doesn't check out. When a person's money does check out, they say it doesn't check out. Or vice versa. Right. Now it would have worked if I could have got somewhere to get the massage and the pain management treatment like I am now. I'd have got the surgery and it would have worked. Right. Makes sense. I'm just slowly encroaching on that point where I can definitively say that. That's what their curse was. Curse the surgery and curse me away from the surgery. Right. And psychologically operate me away from it. You know, sure God will have something to say to them in the afterlife. Uh, you have to remember, in countries like Mexico and Central America, they believe that prostitution is a part of life. They believe sex trafficking is part of life. That's your station in life. They believe that. Uh, thank you, Larry. They believe that if the boss says you don't get nothing, then you don't get nothing. So again, that's part of what happened to the country. But yet the deep state's using them to enforce their bullshit like that too. Right. Now, if I get 25 minutes, I'll be glad. I'll be happy. Just trying to smooth back into this. Right. A lot of like embezzlement going on right now. A lot of cases charging embezzlement. Right. Well, I've never seen so many people in the gym. The number of stays like this, I'll believe that the federal task force is in here. Harry's going to gym. Everybody go over there. Try to push him out. Believe me, they do stuff like that. All right, now a little bit of cool down. No, I actually had this question as to why I was seeing that one woman I told you yesterday. Is this setup or is it real? But I guess that's starting to happen to me everywhere now. It's like only certain, because the spirit was like, there's only certain people you see. There's only certain people she sees. She sees you. She doesn't see anyone else here. Right. Probably because she's just a psychotic maniac that the deep state could hire. That's why she sees me. Yeah, if I'd seen her 10 years ago, I'd have probably talked to her already. But, right, just friendly conversation. Right. All right. There it is. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty lean system compared to what I had before. They can essentially say that the Biden administration screwed everything up if it ends up getting into the court as to what's going on there. Right. Well, if they'd done their part, these people wouldn't have stayed so long. Right. Read there. Well, because the system wasn't made for that. Now, I don't agree in probably every deportation going on, but it's not my, it's not my place. I'm not in government. And if you didn't kill me, I'd probably have more influence. So again, you immigrants that were part of it, you're pretty stupid. Just like the cops that are now have no job are pretty stupid. Thanks, Larry. I'll say peace, still praise God, and all to do praise.